but she starts hearing stories from a lot of the wounded soldiers and military pilots about flying. And she was just like, holy shit. Like, I'm so sorry you're injured and like for the trauma, but this sounds gorgeous. Hello, Rammies.
Welcome back to Right Answers Mostly,
A podcast on what you didn't learn in history class, but you really wanted to. My name is Tess Bellomo.
and my name's Claire Donald.
And we are coming to an end of spooky season.
It makes me so sad. Yesterday I was like, how are we towards the end of October already?
I know. And I know that like last week was a very intense episode.
So many of y'all have been like, I've had to stop halfway through, and I don't blame you.
I saw your response, that person being like mental health, like protect
Self-care.
yourself, self-care. But yeah, we wanted to change it up a little bit this week, still in the spooky-esque, but a little bit more inspiring.
And a subject that you guys have requested since we've met, really.
Literally since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we get into it, like what's going on right now?
Well, our live show is less than a month away. Who knows if tickets will even still be available by the time that this is released, but check it out and then the link in our bio.
Yeah, I would say maybe not, because I think right now there's only like literally 3 left or something.
So exciting and nerve-wracking. But Saturday, November 11th, your girls are going live.
We sure are, honey.
But besides that, nothing else. I really need to get my ass over to a pumpkin patch.
Oh, yeah. I saw some TikTok today that was like where to bring your dogs for spooky season. And there's like cute little stuff for them to do. And I'm like, maybe we should bring the babies and go to like something dog friendly.
I would love nothing more. I have Rex next week. I'm supposed to dog sitting. You know, I'm always dog sitting, guys.
She always is. And then, yeah, we have our Halloween costumes planned. We hope that you guys are doing something in the Ram spirit.
Yes. Remember, if you dress up like a Ram subject, take a picture and tag us, we will choose the winner and you get a free t-shirt because merch is coming soon.
Now I'm like, fuck, why didn't I not choose a Ram subject myself?
You still don't know what I'm dressing up as.
No.
It's a surprise. I'm surprising Tess.
I know. I like kind of want to ask you, but then
it's all coming together.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have it?
I have parts of it. Yeah.
Wow.
I usually like don't plan so ahead on Halloween, but I'm doing my best this year. You're great at planning.
Well, hey, you know, the theater kid energy really comes out at this time.
It's healing, really. It's healing.
It is healing. But yeah, should we get into today's subject?
I don't think anything else to really report unless you've got something.
I don't have much.
I want to hear about Amelia.
So we're talking about Amelia Earhart. You kids have been requesting it. I felt like even last year we got some requests and I was like, I don't know, like it sounds like something you learned about in like 2nd grade and then you don't need to relearn about it. And then I was like, I actually knew very little about her story. What do you know? What did you know growing up?
I feel like I'm like, did we ever learn about her in school at all? Like, I feel like the extent of what I know about her and learned about her is like in children's children's books when it's just like the first woman to, what is she, the first woman to fly an airplane or like? I don't know.
In ways, first woman to fly across the country.
So like that, I have no idea. I have no idea what time period she is. I do know she looks just like your grandma.
I was like having a very emotional experience while researching, and I sent a picture to my aunt and my mom, and I was like, I'm sorry, is this grandma? Like the short hair, the bone structure. So my aunt was like, I get all the time, because she has very short hair too.
Your aunt was just like your grandma.
And she was like, I get all the time that I should be her for Halloween.
Oh, she should.
And I was like, that would be so cute.
Now she can enter our contest.
Exactly. She knows.
She knows. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like she always is like in, museums of like the, first woman to do this. And like, and I know that which is why this is spooky season, her death is quite mysterious, and there are some conspiracy theories.
Check out our Patreon,
$7.99, as to what happened to her.
And I say that because we have a conspiracy episode on Patreon right now.
It is completely unhinged. It is unlike anything you've ever heard before.
I mean, that's our style, babe. That is our style.
That is our style. But I had a great time. I felt like this is a fun episode. It's also an emotional episode. And let us know at the end what you think really happened to this woman.
Yes, let us know. I love that you guys are commenting on the carousels on our Instagram at Right Answers Mostly. And check out our TikTok at Right Answers Mostly.
We're back with the carousels because we always listen to you.
We do.
Every single thing you guys say. When have we ever let you down?
Never. Also, you look so scholastic today with she looks chic as hell, guys, with the
Oh,
glasses.
that
Check
is
it
too
out.
kind. It's just because I have a little bit of a cold, so I'm had to wear the
She's
glasses.
powering through, people.
But we're powering through, and we're not high on the Mary Jane, but we're high on some cold and flu,
And we love that. Some Sudafed.
some Sudafed, and so we're gonna get a little loopy
That's what we're
as
here
we
for.
take off.
Oh, Tess.
Ah.
Wow,
Oh
gorgeous.
God, that took everything. It took everything out of me.
That was a gorgeous transition.
I appreciate it. Okay, so to start, we're gonna cite our sources.
Oh, yes, of course.
Of course, we have history.com.
Our mother.
Of course, we have Wikipedia.
Our stepfather.
And of course, not of course, maybe to a shock, we have the New Yorker, an article in the New Yorker.
She means business.
She means business.
I feel like that is like a level of journalism.
I know. I always feel like chic when I say that.
I think so too.
I'm like,
Wow.
yeah. So, okay. So our girl Amelia. Amelia Earhart was. Do you have any guesses of her sign?
I feel like she's a fire sign.
Mm.
No, I'm wrong.
Mm.
No, am I wrong?
Go with your gut.
Is she an Aries? No. What is she?
She was born July 24th.
Oh, she's a Leo.
So she's a Leo queen.
Oh, I was right about the fire sign.
I know
though.
you always trust your gut with these.
Oh, I should have said Leo. God
No,
damn
it's
it.
okay.
Of course she's a
And she
Leo.
really is a Leo.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, like anyone that just wants to,
I was gonna say Sagittarius, but I was like, like I always say, Sagittarius do what they want, and the world works out around them. But like that was not the case. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
I know what you mean.
So sorry, Amelia.
I sure do.
Yeah.
So she was born July 24th, 1897 in Atchison, Kansas.
Okay.
Do you know of it?
No, but she's a Kansas gal.
She's a Kansas gal. She's the daughter of Samuel Edwin Stanton Earhart and Amelia Amy Earhart. So her mom named after
She's
her.
Amelia Jr.
Yeah, and also she was named after her two grandmothers, Amelia Josephine Harris and Mary Wells Patton. Her sister, or I guess just Amelia. Yeah, just the first one. Why did it say after her two grandmothers?
I don't know about that. So she's Amelia Jr.
She's Amelia Jr., and we love that.
Mm-hmm. You said 1892?
1897.
97. I'm just like placing where she is in the world.
Right, I know. I still have a hard time thinking of like what life looked like at that time.
Yeah, no,
but
same.
we will figure it out as we go. She had a sister, Grace Muriel Earhart, 2 years her junior. Her nickname was Millie.
Oh, cute.
And their upbringing was quite unconventional. Their mom didn't really want them to be like nice girls. She was like, you know what? Let's play and let's get dirty and like
Love that
very
energy.
much the tomboy energy.
Mm-hmm.
So her mom put them both in bloomers, which were like
the pants?
the pants.
Yes.
Her grandmother really disapproved of that. But her family was like, you know what? You girls can be who you are. And they were climbing trees and they were hunting rats with rifles, which you couldn't pay me.
No, with rifles.
I know, I was like, God, so intense as like a 6-year-old. Like,
In her bloomers.
truly. And they loved sledding downhill, belly slamming
Oh
on
my
her
God.
sled downhill. So just like a little.
I've lost my breath even thinking about it.
I have as well. So yeah, just like a little insight as to what their childhood looked like. And they were very close. They were close with their parents as well. So when she was about 7, she made a homemade ramp fashioned after a roller coaster she had seen in St. Louis. And her sister said that the first time they went on it, she said, "Oh, Midge, it's just like flying."
Oh.
So she liked the kind of thrill.
She was, adrenaline junkie.
Adrenaline junkie. I mean, like, Lord knows I was not making.
No, I was terrified, of heights. I was a very cautious kid.
I was as well.
Kids doing cartwheels off the diving board, it makes me have a panic attack.
Yeah, same. I think I always just knew that there was like danger
Same.
looming. And like even with roller coasters, I was never one to like seek the adrenaline.
Yeah, and there is always danger looming.
There is. So dun dun dun. Her dad had to transfer to Iowa in 1907 and for work. And at the age of 10, she sees her first aircraft at the Iowa State Fair. But she wasn't like, wow, that's my dream. She literally was like, gross. What is this thing? It looks rusty. It's made of wire and wood, and it's not at all interesting, she said.
Oh, my God.
So one could say she actually hated airplanes.
Wow. She's like, they just need to be chicer.
Yeah, she's like, not for me. They actually go live with their grandparents and a governess at this time because the dad and I guess the mom are in Iowa, and then they go back to Kansas.
Okay.
So the family separates.
The kids go back to Kansas?
Yeah, to
Oh.
live with her grandparents, and they were homeschooled.
Oh.
Yeah. Um, so this was a time that she just spent countless hours at a library. She was very studious. Then this was also the time that her family just got super rich.
Oh, good
because
for them.
it said with the acquisition of a new house.
Oh,
Which I'm like,
okay.
what does that mean? Acquisition of a new house.
Well, acquiring would mean like they got a new house. So I wonder if someone died and then left them the house.
That would make sense. I think there was like a trust situation
Okay,
that
great.
happened.
Love that.
So they had 2 servants. Like her life kind of changed all of a sudden. And she was like this rich kid, sort of out of nowhere.
Interesting, because it seems like they were very like salt of the earth
A
before
little bit.
hunting rats.
I mean, truly. And then all of a sudden they were kind of like, oh shit, we have money. But then her dad became a severe alcoholic during this time.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why you can't have nice things, you know?
Exactly.
More money, more problems, you
Right.
could say. So he was forced to retire, which is really sad, and go to rehab, which I'm still like, I can't believe rehab existed.
I'm like, history of rehab.
Literally,
my God.
what did that look like? Like, people weren't like sharing their feelings back then.
We talked truly, and we talked about in our prohibition episode. I think it's our prohibition episode that they used to, or maybe it's H.H. Holmes, that they used to give people like golds. They used to inject people with golds and think that would cure them of their alcoholism.
That's right. So I'm sure rehab was a little bit more like you are forced to be in a space where you just can't drink instead of like the stem of the problem of like, let's work this out.
I think the 12 steps came a little later, but still pretty early on.
That actually would be a fascinating episode.
Yeah, it really would.
Hey, everyone's like, please God.
Be like, enough with these suggestions.
So sad. So this is sad because Amelia says at this time in her childhood, a lot of like her dad went to rehab, her grandma died suddenly, but once again leaving this like very substantial estate.
Nice.
She put them in the trust because she feared that her dad's when he got out of rehab that the dad would just drain it because of his drinking problem.
Yeah.
So the house that her grandmother's house that they had been living in was auctioned along with its content, and Amelia said that this was like the moment that she knew her childhood was over.
Oh,
I know, isn't that so sad?
yes, and it's not fair.
It's not fair. So their mom then takes the girls to Chicago, and they just lived with friends. They were like, let's get out.
She separated from her husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is when Amelia did something I have never done in school, where she was like, okay, I want to find a school with the best science program.
No.
And she canvassed nearby high schools in Chicago to find the best science program, and she rejected the high school nearest her home when she complained that the chemistry lab was just like a kitchen sink. I was like, sweetheart.
Oh my God. She has standards.
She has standards. She's like 12 or something.
That is crazy. Also, I just love her spirit though. Like she's so smart. She's so outgoing. Like I admire her already.
She's spunky. She's like not afraid to be herself. I mean, like
Yeah.
imagine at this time too, like a 12-year-old girl being like, I am passionate about science.
I love
and
it.
like she's smart as hell.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which, good God, would not. I'd be the opposite.
I would be like the bare minimum chemistry lab. Sign me up.
It makes me, my friends from high school were here this weekend and we were talking about like the worst memories of high school. And I think chemistry, truly just like going into that class, like I think I had it like first period was just like sweat, tears.
I couldn't even tell you anything about it now.
Absolutely not.
So what a waste of time.
But good for Amelia.
Yeah, love that for Amelia.
So she eventually enrolled in Hyde Park High School. This is funny, but spent a miserable semester where a yearbook caption captured her essence of her unhappiness. It said, quote, A.E., the girl in brown who walks alone.
So was she a loner?
Mhm.
Oh, kind of iconic though.
I know. I mean, like,
A.E., the girl in brown.
did you guys have like in your yearbook a place to put like a quote?
Yes.
What was your quote?
Well, it was like you could do a hashtag. What?
Oh.
2012.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, and so hashtags were like the big thing. And so I did hashtag happy.
You're like, that's all I need to say. It's simple. It's to the point.
Meanwhile, no.
You're like, meanwhile, she was depressed.
Exactly. What about you?
We all did a Jesse McCartney lyric.
Oh, right.
Damn those sweet memories.
Classic.
So Jesse, if you're listening,
You might be.
I mean, we've tried to get you on before.
Yeah, we really have. We'll try again.
And we'll try again.
We've had a glow up a little bit since
That's
then,
true. So yeah, she was a little sad. But But hey, she graduates high school.
Well, also, she's an ambitious woman in the early 1900s. Like, yeah.
I mean, even like, I'm sure that she was also dressing like how it said that she was wearing like bloomers when other little girls won't. Like her style was always very androgynous. And I feel like, and you'll see this theme throughout, like I feel like people were like, she's a lesbian, she's weird, she's
Well,
like.
I asked you even. I was like, is she straight?
There is no concrete evidence that she ever had romantic or sexual relationships with women,
Right.
but it always was. People always thought so, just because of we'll get into her marriage, and also just by her style,
Her style,
you know.
yeah.
So she graduates high school. She had always kept a scrapbook of newspaper clippings of successful women in predominantly male-oriented fields, including film, law, advertising, mechanical engineering.
Oh my God, I love her already.
I love her so much. And so she's just like, she is an OG feminist girly.
Truly.
And she's like, I want an interesting life and I'm going to get it.
Absolutely.
So she goes to junior college in Pennsylvania. She doesn't complete the program because during Christmas vacation, she visited her sister in Toronto. Her sister had gone to Toronto, not sure why. Maybe to study, maybe for work. I don't know.
Canada's a great place.
We love Canada.
We love our Canadian Rammies.
We talk about you guys constantly.
Constantly.
Literally. So World War I had been raging at this time, and Amelia saw a lot of wounded soldiers. So I think she kind of was like, okay, I'm having like my priorities have shifted. Like right now I want to be helping out. So she gets a nurse's aid training from Red Cross and volunteers at a hospital.
Oh my God.
And her duties were kind of like preparing food in the kitchen for patients with special diets. She was handing out medication. It was nothing like crazy. But she starts hearing stories from a lot of the wounded soldiers and military pilots about flying. And she was just like, holy shit. Like, I'm so sorry you're injured and like for the trauma, but this sounds gorgeous.
This sounds like the best time ever.
She was like, tell me more. And they're like, I'm so tired. And she was like, I don't care.
Oh my God. Well, you got to get that info. Got to get that info.
And she's getting the info. But then she catches the Spanish flu.
Ooh.
Which is like kind of like the original COVID.
Yeah.
Not good.
No, I'm like, I thought we were done hearing about that. But
yeah, I feel like it was like plague, Spanish flu, COVID.
I think we're good for now.
Are all pretty tough things.
Yeah.
That
and she caught it.
And like you'll see this kind of throughout her story that she's just kind of sick her whole life from this. Which I'm like, oh my God, I have like a little cold today. And like I just would be like, let me cancel every plan I've ever had.
Can't imagine. But it was like also these major diseases before then, like scarlet fever and stuff that affected you your whole life.
Yeah, I mean, like, was there even Advil back then to like bring your fever down?
I don't think so. I think people are like, drink some whiskey.
I mean, and we also do that today.
Yeah, I literally did that in August when I was feeling sick too. So
I was like, it's good for the soul, baby.
It is.
So she's really sick. She's down in the hospital herself for 2 months. She has this surgery for mucus drainage, which actually made her entire body feel worse.
Ugh.
And it kind of gave her chronic headaches for the rest of her life.
That's horrible.
But she passed the time in the hospital with studying mechanics along with reading poetry and learning to play the banjo.
What?
Sweetheart, like let yourself rest too.
Like, okay, also the banjo is like one of the hardest instruments to learn. And then like to learn mechanics, no wonder she had headaches all the time.
I mean, I guess watching Bravo wasn't around back then.
I guess.
Like
She
when you
didn't
were
have the
sick, I guess you
Housewives.
had to like give yourself some joy. There was no TV.
That sucks. Well, it's like Frida, who just like painted constantly.
I know, our angel, our queen.
Frida is our angel.
We love her. But then she gets out of the hospital. She's like feeling a little bit better. She's always going to feel a little bit like drained from this. So Amelia and a young woman friend, which it's always interesting because like in every article it says like, it's like once again, like I feel like everyone just thinks she's a lesbian.
Right.
It's like not just like and a friend. It's always a young woman, like companion or friend. I'm like, let this woman live her life.
Kyle Richards and Morgan, whatever her last name is.
Side note, did you see today that people are thinking that like they are both, Kyle and Mauricio are doing it for publicity and they're actually still together? I saw like 3 different, it's Life and Style announced it. So I know that's not like.
But with Housewives, you just never know. If that's true, that is so sick. If you guys don't know, we're talking about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Of course, always have to take a little break.
Of course.
But multiple sources have said that like, and it all came out today at the same time, that like their stories aren't matching up. So they think that they're lying
sick.
about it, which is disgusting.
But I can't wait to see how the season plays out and look for us in the background of the white party.
We will have a viewing party.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Even if it's just us.
That's sick.
But anyway, so she and a friend go to this Canadian national exhibition of flying, I guess, of like
Mm-hmm.
air something. And she says the interest aroused in me in Toronto led me to all the air circuses in the vicinity. So all of a sudden she catches the little flying bug and she's like, I want to go to museums. I want to go like look at air shows.
I love that, like, when she gets excited about something, she, like, gets obsessed with it, it seems.
I feel like in the hospital is like really when it started, and now
Mhm.
she's kind of thinking of it more as a career.
Right.
So she says, yeah, she sees this like little red plane and she says, I believe at that time that little red airplane said something to me as it swished by. So it's like the spiritual experience
It's
for
like,
her,
"Hey,
perhaps.
girl."
It's like, hey girl, coming up. But she was like, look, I want to finish school.
Mhm.
So she is prepared to enter Smith College, which we've talked about Smith before.
Yeah, that sounds so familiar.
I think Smith was one of the first all female,
Okay.
right? Yeah, actually, I think it still is.
All female?
I think so. Because her sister was a student there. And then she was like, you know what? I changed my mind. I want to go study medicine at Columbia.
My God, she, like, literally is always like, "I'm not gonna do something, like, kind of adjacent. I'm gonna go to, like, the top."
She goes for it. It's that Leo energy.
It's so true.
But she quits a year later. So she has 1 year at Columbia. And then she goes to California because that is where both of her parents are. And it says they had reunited in California. So I think that meant her parents have gotten back together.
Hey, good for them.
Not
He
sure.
got his shit figured out, hopefully.
I
And
hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, not sure of their romantic journey, but so they're all in California,
Uh-huh.
which we love to see.
Yeah.
And then on December 28th, 1920, Amelia and her dad attended an aerial meet in Long Beach, California.
Hey, that's, like, right down the street.
We love Long Beach. And this is when she's like, can I try to take some flying lessons?
That's so interesting that she was just like, well, I guess, like, flying was so new then. So it's not like, of course, I'm just going to take flying lessons. She's just more obsessed with the idea about it.
Yeah, and I think like while researching this, I was like, "Oh, cute!" Like, and then you have to remember, like, even remember during the 20s and the 40s, like, pilots were celebrities and flight attendants were models, and like
That's so crazy.
the experience of flying, like, people were like would save up for the year to go flying once, like it was like this true luxury and privilege, and like it was like an event.
Yeah, I wonder, are there any flight attendant Rammies or pilot Rammies? I would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I'd love to hear like the secrets of
Yes.
like what not to really touch when you go
Same.
into like isn't the dirtiest place not the bathroom but the
I'm scared.
oh it's the thing that you the tray.
Oh, that makes sense.
But,
like,
you know,
people like face down, drooling on it. I doubt they wipe it off very much.
I don't think they do. But yeah, let
Yeah.
us know the flying secrets.
Yes.
Or like what the hell like if a pilot falls asleep. Like I just like want to know everything.
I want to know everything too.
I still don't understand it. Also, shout out to McKinley, who is my friend, who's a pilot, and she can
Right.
probably tell us some of these things too. But she doesn't fly commercial. But anyway, I mean, like she's not like she flies private. She doesn't like she's not at a
Right.
You know.
She flies like recreationally.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're in Long Beach, and she's like, "Give me a lesson because now I'm in it." So they look into lessons. The cost was $10 for a 10-minute flight with this guy named Frank Hawks. He was like a air racer, I guess. So Hawks gave her a ride that would forever change Amelia's life.
Wow.
By the time I got 200 or 300 feet in the air, I knew I had to fly. So she gets this instructor, and I did the calculator, so don't you worry. And this is
Gorgeous.
crazy. She gets an instructor named Nita Snook, and she did a 12-hour lesson. So they're up there like pretty much the entire day
12 hours.
for $500 at the time,
Oh gosh.
and that would be in today's price $7,600
For one day?
So this is like this is like an expensive hobby for 12 hours.
I mean, for sure. I mean, like, I feel like flying now is an expensive hobby.
I know. I'm like,
That's
what would I
crazy.
pay?
Well, I mean, we were thinking about BravoCon tickets for $7,000.
Literally, that's the only thing I could think about, and we had to be like, no,
No,
that's
I mean,
not.
I don't know who we even thought we were that we could, but that's the only comparable thing in my life.
Hey, we
really.
get excited, don't we?
We do.
So she's like, fuck, I want to keep doing this, and I have to keep paying for it, obviously. So to make up for all of these lessons, she starts working as a freelance photographer.
Oh my
I know, I'm just
God.
a little creative queen. A truck driver
What?
and a stenographer.
Yes.
What's a stenographer
That's what
again?
my mom
Oh
does.
yeah, I always get that and what's like the other thing of like drawing?
Like in court drawing the
Yeah,
cartoons.
what's
I
that
don't know what that's
called?
called. A
Okay, so
cartoonist.
stenographer is
It's like a court reporter.
okay, love.
Yeah.
So a little bit of
Oh,
everything.
like truly a little bit of everything.
Truly. So she starts basically like, oh, this is great. So this is when she cuts her hair really short because she is like, I'm going to be up in the air.
Yeah.
I don't want to fuck around with that. A braid's not going to do it.
I don't have time for it.
Don't have time for that. And people immediately are like, she's crazy. So she uses like basically really old, she starts like investing in old planes
Okay.
that she's kind of fixing up. They're a little bit like, they're probably not the safest planes, but that's the only thing that she can afford. So with her and her flying instructor, they're basically just like, this is now their new hobby too, of like
Fixing up old
fixing up
planes.
these planes.
She's like the ultimate cool girl.
She's the like truly though.
Like I'm just one of the guys, you know.
She's like what Sydney Sweeney wishes she was.
I literally was just thinking about that because she works on cars.
Yeah, and I just can't with that TikTok for some reason. I don't know what it is. I'm just like
I was literally thinking the same thing.
it's just too much. I mean, like
Amelia Earhart ran so Sydney Sweeney could walk.
say it again, Claire. Say it louder for the people in the back. And like with Love and Light,
With Love and Light, of course, it's always with Love and Light. Always.
always. So 6 months later, in the summer of 1921, this is when Amelia purchases her first secondhand bright chromium yellow Kinner Airster biplane. No idea what that means, but she nicknamed it the Canary.
Okay, like the bird.
So it's like her first love.
Oh.
And then in October 1922, this was the first time that she flew this plane at an altitude of 14,000 feet, setting a world record for female pilots.
Yeah, I'm like, I wonder how many there even were at that time.
I think there'd be people. So I think what was common is that women would be the co-pilot and it would be a lot of like, oh, like I'm next to you for, like support kind of like for the adventure, for the ride, but there wasn't really like leadership.
I wonder even now, like I feel like I never, when you walk on a plane, take a little peek, like
I know I've seen a couple women, but I did hear that people feel so much more unsafe when it's a female pilot or a female like Lyft or Uber driver. I read something about that.
guys.
It's not crazy. Like, let's get over that fucking stereotype.
I always feel more safe when there's a woman in the room.
It's with everything.
With everything, truly.
Like, let's let it go. Okay. So, and then in 1923, Amelia became the 16th woman in the United States to be issued a pilot's license.
Oh my
16.
God, there's only 6 in the whole United States.
Like, that is wild.
That is.
So she's loving, like, she's kind of like gaining a little bit of notoriety, like a local celebrity. But now her trust fund is gone.
Oh, that ran out quick.
Always tough.
Well, all those flying lessons.
All those flying lessons, like, yeah, she was doing freelance, like, photography. But as we know,
it only gets you so
Tess
far.
Bellomo Photography. The website is down, but it was once a dream.
It was a gorgeous dream. And a dream that won't die, I'd say.
Yeah, no, hey.
Let's just get you another film camera.
I would love another film.
Let's do it.
Dropped mine on the floor the other day.
Oh.
So, but yeah, she's struggling because she's like, Mama needs some cash.
Mm-hmm.
So she sells the Canary, as well as this other gold bug speedster. It's like a 2-seater, which she had named the Yellow Peril. So she sells that. Her sinus infections were hospitalizing her again. So she's in and out of the hospital.
Just for a sinus infection. Although sinus infections are like sometimes the worst.
I mean, thank God for Sudafed.
Seriously.
This episode should be sponsored by Sudafed.
Call us.
Please do. So it's just, she still has her photography company, but she's like literally so sick that she can't really do anything. So once again, she's in like a little bit of a dip, which is always nice during these episodes because you see the wave of success, struggle, success, struggle.
I need to see it.
Which I need to see it too, because sometimes I'm just like, why is everything not hunky-dory?
When I think in your own life, it always feels more like a dip because like the wins are, I don't know. It's just hard. It's hard to stay in the dips.
It is hard to stay there.
Like it's uncomfortable is what I mean.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, this is an inspiring story because she's sick again. And then she's like, you know what? I'm out of the hospital, and her mom's like, let's go on a mother-daughter road trip, which we love that.
Yeah.
To Boston.
Oh my God, that's far.
That is
Back then.
I know. I'd be like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I'd be like, honestly, let's
Like, unless I'm flying this plane and bringing us
seriously.
there, which is that's so hot. But she's not. But they're not doing that. So they go to Boston. They're kind of like settling down there for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why she chose Boston. But she returns to Columbia, and she wants to. I think she graduates from Columbia, and then she wants to go to grad school at MIT.
My God, of course she does. Of course she does.
Just like, that's my choice.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I would not fit in there. I mean, that would not be my choice for grad school.
People wouldn't like me there.
Yeah, no, it's not for us. But she can't go because she can't afford it. And so now she's working as a teacher and a social worker.
Both?
Both.
Oh my God, Amelia.
I mean, truly, it sounds like our friend Caroline.
It's literally Caroline energy where it's like doesn't sleep, has 17 different jobs.
Truly.
And is like crushing it.
Bless.
Bless.
So she still loves to fly, and people are still like, come back here. Like, we got you. Like, you're welcome into the community. Like,
Yeah.
we haven't forgotten about you. So she becomes VP of American Aeronautical Society in the Boston chapter.
Okay.
And she was the first official flight out of Denison Airport in Medford, Massachusetts. So people are like, holy shit, she's up and running again. And people start writing about her in the paper. And this is when she becomes like an actual celebrity. Women were like, shit, this is like so inspirational. And men were like, you're hot and like, this is cool. And we don't see it a lot. So she is popular. People are looking up to her.
Right.
Little girls are looking up to her. But money's still tight, which I'm like, we've seen this time and time again of people that we thought were celebrities.
It's crazy. It's like you think that if you're in the public eye, like I think Julia Fox has talked about that before where she's like, I struggle for money.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
No, I know. I'd love to read her book,
Me
by
too.
the way.
Let's do it. And then have her on Ram.
I mean, would love. She's doing the
press tour, guys.
Mhm.
If we get Julia Fox on Ram.
She's crazy and I love it.
Same.
So money's a little tight. And then this is where we see a little bit romance come in. Perhaps a little savior. Not like she needed it, but maybe financially she did.
Well, and sometimes it's nice to have a companion, and if they happen to,
I mean, if they're treating you well,
Yes.
like, and you're in love,
what's
perfect.
the problem?
But that's up for debate. So
Got it.
we have this man. His name is Sam Chapman. He's an engineer from Massachusetts, and he's 5 years older than Amelia. They met, they played tennis together, they discussed philosophy. I feel like they kind of had like a more serious relationship, like it was kind of like intense. But the thing that they really agreed on is they both shared this notion of equality in a partnership or a marriage.
I love that.
And like this is in like 1924, and he's like,
Seriously.
look, like if we're together, you are my equal. Like everything is like split in terms of like kind of just like life and how we view each other and roles. And
it shouldn't seem like such a shock, but of course it is. Like,
I know, well, especially in the 20s, like women were
Yeah.
not respected as they are now. And I
No.
think, you just see that certain dynamic that they wanted to kind of challenge.
great. And I mean, of course she would end up with a guy like that too.
Yes.
You
I
would
mean,
hope.
like she wouldn't take
No.
that shit. However, they split up a few years after. I think they got, like, did they get married or were they just together? I think they did get married, but it was like a short-lived romance.
Mhm.
However, very quickly after this breakup, she meets this guy named George P. Putman. And they start dating. He's pretty rich. I mean, it sounds like a rich name.
Yeah. No, it definitely does.
And so they married in Connecticut. And so this is why people are suspicious about perhaps her sexuality. She was very she basically was like, look, this is a partnership and just a partnership. And she even like
Mhm.
wrote about it a lot, about how like there's no romance really.
It's like a life partner. It's not like a romantic partner.
Yes. And I think people were also like, they don't really seem in love.
Right.
But also like, hey, if that works for you.
I know that's what's just so interesting because like we'll never know if she like lived in a more modern time, if she felt like she could be more comfortable about her sexuality, or sometimes people just truly want a partnership and
Yes.
they don't need the romance of it all.
Yeah, and I think she also was so like passionate about telling other women like it doesn't have to be like this in a marriage, that she almost like lost some of her own freedom in that, because I think she would just wanted to like kind of make a statement. Like
Yeah.
she said, Yeah, like on their wedding days, she wrote, "I want you to understand I shall not hold you to any medieval code of faithfulness to me,
Oh.
nor shall I consider myself bound to you similarly. I
Oh.
may have to keep some place where I can go by myself now and then, for I cannot guarantee to endure at all times the confinement of even an attractive cage."
Oh my God. So she was like, we will have an open relationship.
Like, wouldn't you interpret that
A
like that?
100%. And even though
Mm-hmm.
she's like, an attractive cage could mean multiple things, but also like you're hot. Like, even though you're hot, like you can,
Like, honey, I got the shit to do, and I
I have to
and
fly.
I have to fly. I have to see the world and see some people in the world,
And it's
maybe.
kind of like how Dolly talked about her marriage. It's like,
Mm.
listen, we're together, but like you do you and I'll do me.
And hey, relationships look so different.
Exactly.
People, it's having conventional marriages is not for everyone,
I know. I
and
just think it's so interesting in the 20s. Wow.
for sure. And of course, she has short hair and she's wearing pants. People are like, "You're gay. You're gay." There's no other option, but you're gay.
Exactly.
Show. So this is where this pilot that we hear a lot about. His name is Charles Lindbergh. Heard of him?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
he was a very famous pilot. Like at the time, like he was the one breaking all the
Was
records.
he also an actor?
He-
Maybe not.
I think he was in the mill. Was
Maybe
he
he
an
was
actor?
just like a celebrity because he was a pilot.
He may have been actually.
Interesting.
That does sound kind of familiar. So he had just flown a solo flight across the Atlantic in 1927. And he asked this woman, Amy Guest, who had expressed interest in being the first woman to fly across the Atlantic. He was like, "Do you want to come with me?" And she was like, "Would love." And then she was like, "Wait, I'm really scared." And so she was,
Same.
I mean, same.
Over the ocean?
Yeah, she was like, "It seemed like it was too perilous for me to undertake," which it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Also, like, that's a long time to be with someone like that. I don't really carpool unless you're like my best friend.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about
Yeah,
that.
like, and like, you don't, do they have radios? Like, probably doesn't go up there.
No,
They
and
don't have
like,
CDs.
no, and this is not the time too where like you can just switch a button and it
No.
just does everything for you. Like you are in it. You
Yeah,
are
you're
like
in it. Well, that maybe
flying.
that helps the time go by faster.
Yeah,
then.
that's true. You like don't really have a moment to be distracted, but
Yeah.
like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So then they're looking for Charles is like, "I need to find a woman with the right image because this is going to be very photographed. It's going to be
Okay.
iconic." And they're like, "Let's call up Amelia." So they asked Amelia, "Would you like to fly the Atlantic?" And she was like, "Look, I'm scared also, but let's fucking do it."
Mm.
But she was like, "I want to prepare first. Like I need to do this like in increments," because
Yeah.
she felt like she needed a little bit more experience. So she accompanies this pilot Wilmer Stoltz as a passenger just to keep the flight log,
Yeah.
which I'm like, that also sounds like the most boring thing that you could fucking do.
No, thank you.
But she does it, and they go on a 20-hour and 40-minute journey to Newfoundland, which I'm like, this is where I'm like, what is a map? Where the hell?
Newfoundland. I
Where-
know there's a dog that's like a Newfoundland hound.
Where is that?
I want to guess like Netherland region.
Right?
Yeah.
Sounds like it?
Yeah, it sounds like it. So it must be.
For sure.
20 hours with no sleep.
20 hours. And they are, well, I think in these journeys, yeah, wait, do they just have to switch off sleeping?
Maybe.
Or I'm like, do they land and sleep? No, because then
I
you're flying over
think
the ocean.
And then you would have to figure out the fuel though. Yeah. I mean,
Interesting you say that. Keep that in the back of your little heads.
it's always the fuel.
Fuel is scary. The other day I was like, truly did not understand how, I'm like, how do flights run out of fuel? Because can't you just put in an extra, like, just to be safe,
Right.
like an extra 100 gallons?
Right.
And my brother was like, it doesn't work that way.
Like, but it should.
But it should, just like have backup. But dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
Okay,
dun.
think of the fuel. So she said that she felt like she was just baggage, like a sack of potatoes, and maybe someday I would like to actually try this alone. But she knows that her trip with Charles is coming. They're celebrated at the White House for this. She receives
Ooh.
like a bunch of fancy shit. She's dubbed the Lucky Lindy
Okay.
because she's going with Charles
with
Lindbergh. And then Lady Lindy.
Okay.
She's like, "Please let me just have my
Just
own
like
name."
I'm Amelia Earhart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But then she's dubbed Queen of the Air, which we love more.
Well, also like her last name, it just hit me, Earhart, even though it's not like spelled like that.
Wait,
but
same. Also, this is why every time I researched her, I kept typing her last name incorrectly.
AIR.
Yes,
Yeah.
every time for
Every
like
time.
weeks. I was like, I could not learn.
Wow. It was her destiny.
It was her destiny. So in 1932, Amelia becomes the first woman and second person after little Charles to fly solo across the Atlantic.
So she went ahead and just did it.
She went ahead and just did it. She was like, you know what? I'm Lucky Lindy. I'm queen of the air. I'm going to do it. And this is actually what I thought was that this was the trip that was the disaster trip. But no, she had flown across the Atlantic Ocean by herself. She had done it before. Newfoundland is in Canada.
Oh.
My bad.
Is it really?
Newfoundland.
That's crazy.
I could have sworn it also was like somewhere in
the Netherlands.
The Netherlands, which I'm still like, where are the Netherlands?
Yeah, where even are the Netherlands?
Someone draw us a map. Oh, that'd actually be some good fan
art.
Fan art. If someone wants to like draw us a map of all the mistakes we've made.
A RAM map.
Yes. Just like things that are next to each other that do not belong. So she goes. And then she goes to Northern Ireland. She lands near a cow field in Northern Ireland, and people are like, "You did it! You did it!"
The cows are like, "Oh,
the cows
yeah,
are like, good job, girl." Yeah. So she returns to the United States, and Congress awarded her a Distinguished Flying Cross, which is like a military honor.
Hell yeah.
Awarded for heroism.
Mm-hmm.
Or extraordinary achievement while participating in an aerial flight. So she's the first woman to receive this honor.
That's amazing.
Later that year, she made the first solo nonstop flight across the United States by a woman. So she's racking up these records. She's confident. She's doing everything that she feared.
And it is also just like such a ripple effect that it's like if one woman can succeed in one field, then it's like going to just open doors for every woman in every field.
But literally, like it just takes one.
Yeah.
And then people just, are
They're
inspired.
Like, yeah, women can actually do this.
It's so true. It's so true. Okay. So this is the time that we're going to get into the flight.
Okay.
The flight. Okay, so at this time, she's consistently working to promote opportunities for women in aviation. Let's see. Okay, so on June 1st, 1937, this is the flight with, I'm like, who was she flying with? Maybe she wasn't flying with Charles at this time.
Okay.
She was flying with this guy. Oh, God, why can't I find it? Come on, Sudafed, please. Oh, Fred Noonan.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not Charles. I think she had done a couple flights with him. But this guy, come on, Sudafed. God help me. So they, on June 1st, 1937, Amelia and Fred took off from Oakland, California, Bay Area, on an eastbound flight around the world. It was her second attempt to become the first pilot ever to circumnavigate the globe. I don't like that word.
Circumnavigate. Is it the circum for you?
It just sounds weird.
Yeah. Well, I think like that just means like go around.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. But interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just put that in the talk about that another time. So she flew a twin engine Lockheed 10E Electra and was accompanied by flight by navigator Fred Noonan. So this is an ambitious flight, right? Like she's done the Atlantic, she's done cross country, but this is like going around the fucking world, which is crazy.
I can't imagine.
So they flew to Miami, then down to South America, across the Atlantic to Africa, then east to India and Southeast Asia. And they are taking breaks, by the way.
Right.
This isn't like you can't just do this one time around. So then the pair reached Lai, New Guinea on June 29th.
Okay.
So when they reached here, they had already flown 22,000 miles.
That's crazy. And the things she must be seeing that like no one in America is seeing.
I mean, literally, like the land, like animals, like just all of these things that she just like probably can't even imagine that ever existed.
Right.
So they have 7,000 miles more to go before returning to Oakland.
That's crazy.
Which I'm like,
they're like close.
They are close.
I mean, it's like so far, so close.
So far yet.
Or so close, yet so far.
Both, really.
Both, exactly.
So this plane that they were flying was hyped as a flying laboratory.
Okay.
Not exactly sure what that means, but I think
either like a chemistry lab or a bathroom.
Right, which both I'm like, okay, so maybe a chemistry lab, which means that it is a high-tech plane?
Yeah, it must be.
Which, like, let's hope so if they're doing this.
That's what they call bathrooms sometimes, right? Laboratories?
Laboratory.
Or is it lavatories?
Isn't it like when you're British, you say
Yeah.
laboratory?
Yeah. Yes.
I always
Exactly.
love that. So
And
yeah,
tomatoes
British Rammies.
and
Hello, hello.
basil. I've been
Yeah,
watching Great British Bake Offs.
pasta,
Pasta.
pasta.
Yep.
Um, show. So it seems to be a good plane. But there was a little bit of issue with like landing clearances, I guess, a couple times, and like they're not exactly sure where that's coming from. But technical support had been a little iffy.
It's like you guys should always be on your shit.
I mean, please, for the love of God, I think this every time I fly. I'm like, what if one person on the ground like forgets to like put something
Mm-mm.
up and they like switch a,
Mm-mm.
scary. Um, so she and Fred, they were like, it's fine, everything's good, we're doing the tests. They set off again on June 1st, this time flying eastward. Weather patterns have changed. And this is why it's just like a lesson in life. You can have everything planned out to a T. Weather, things are out of our
It
control.
just is what it is.
So, okay, so the Electra's fuel tanks could keep them aloft for at most 24 hours at a time before they'd
Okay.
have to stop down somewhere and refuel. So they almost had no margin in error for pinpointing Howland, which was about 2,500 miles away. So they'd have to stop there before reaching Oakland.
Okay.
So Noonan Fred was using a combination of celestial navigation, so which basically means navigating by the stars.
I can't imagine.
Which now we can't even do because pollution is terrible
That's
and
so
you can't even
true.
fucking look up and see anything.
Yeah.
So darkness. And dead reckoning.
What does that mean?
I think that basically just means like
just guessing?
like
No.
to God, take us there. They had a radio, but range was limited. And this is what's tough because you can't just fly without having someone on the ground telling, like
Yeah.
you need to be having someone in your ear being like, okay, you need to have people flashing lights for you at
Yeah.
this time. Like you can't just like, there's no computers that are doing this.
Right.
So early on July 2nd, on a slightly overcast morning, about 18 hours into flight. And remember, fuel is only for
24.
24.
Fuck.
Amelia told the radio at a Coast Guard stationed at Howland to help guide her down that she was flying at 1,000 feet and should be on them soon, meaning like, okay, we should be reaching you, but that fuel was low.
Ugh.
Although the Coast Guard had been broadcasting its position so that Fred could take his bearings and, if necessary, correct the course, they apparently couldn't receive the transmissions, nor apparently could they see the billows of black smoke that they were pumping out. So they were trying to give them visual signs to land, and they could not see because of the weather, and also like, the radio wasn't really working.
Was it like rainy or like foggy?
It was really overcast and
Ugh.
super foggy,
God,
which I'm like always terrified when I fly in overcast because I'm just like, this
crazy.
is so unsettling. So Amelia's last message was logged at 8:43 a.m. and they couldn't really understand what she was saying. And that was the last that they ever...
No,
the
they
last...
still just like, they just don't even know what...
So, yeah, so that was the last of it. They tried to... Obviously, they tried to find the plane. They, at first, were like... They were freaking out. They were like, okay, so it probably crashed, much like what we were talking about in Malaysia, which I feel like you have to like... I'm always like, can't they just go to that last point?
Right.
And just like, but it is truly, like, it is... You are a needle in a haystack. And this is a tiny plane with two people, the currents of the ocean, like... So they assumed that it had crashed and they had just gone down
because of fuel.
Like,
right.
Because, yeah, I mean, like, so I think when you go out of fuel, you're like, okay, let me start flying. That's why she started flying lower, just to like make it not as much of an impact when they would crash. But like, it's still, and you have to be retaining speed that whole time.
Well, and also it's not like there are just runways everywhere. So you're just like crashing into trees or mountains.
Exactly.
Or
like you're just going in. So these are the theories of what people think that happened that day. So the first theory is crash and sink theory.
Okay.
So like we just said, according to crash and sink theory, Amelia's plane ran out of gas while she was searching for this island. She crashed into the open ocean somewhere in the vicinity of the island. Several expeditions over the past 15 years have attempted to locate the plane's wreckage. On the seafloor near Howland, high-tech sonar and deep-sea robots have failed to have any clues about the crash site.
Where's Howland again?
It's like a little island.
Sorry, I need another cup of coffee.
No, you're
I need
fine.
Sudafed.
Honey, I have some. Just crush some up and just continue with this day after this. I actually don't know
Okay.
exactly where it is. Yeah,
Somewhere.
couldn't tell you. Um, so the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery thinks that Amelia and Fred veered off course from Howland Island and landed instead some 350 miles to the southwest of Gardner Island, now in the Republic of Kiribati.
Okay, don't know where any of those places are, but islands.
Same. We got some islands. So a week after the disappearance of Amelia, Navy planes flew over the island. They noticed recent signs of people perhaps being there, but no evidence that it was Fred and Amelia. So they were like, okay, what if they actually like crashed and they like swam to this island?
Right.
And some people still believe that she may have survived for days or even weeks on the island, but then her body
Oh, I'm like, that's
was
even worse, honestly.
cast away
Yeah.
into the sea again.
Or she just like can't even like survive on an
Oh
island.
my God, when you're just like sunburnt, dehydrated. Also,
Ugh.
like it's not like it's not like lost, It's not like they're like, all right, now let's start hunting.
No.
Like this is like
she's alone.
She's alone and like a tiny island with no animals are on it. So there's like no way to like even.
There weren't any animals on it?
No, I think it's like truly like a tiny little island that's like completely
Oh my God.
spare of like anything. It's basically like a sand like,
Right. When I say she's alone, I know there was another guy with her, but I assume like, I mean, who knows what happened to him?
Yeah, I doubt that they're like crashed together and then swam
Yeah.
out and like it's not like the movies, So people have dissected some of the artifacts, but there's a woman's shoe actually that dated back to 1930s, a woman's cosmetic jar, and the bones that appear to be part of a human finger
On that island?
on that island. However, they have studied those and there's no DNA or bones that match up to Amelia or Fred. So it may have been someone else's.
Oh God.
Which I'm like, who else was there?
Seriously, and how did you get there?
Yeah. And then in 2019, this guy named Robert Ballard, who was known for exploring the wreck of the Titanic.
Oh, really?
He was like, let me go. And they saw no signs of the plane, of Amelia's bot, like literally nothing. And so all those theories have kind of been debunked besides the one that it just crashed into the sea. And it's hard to find this shit,
The ocean's so big.
So this other conspiracy theory is that Fred and Amelia were captured and executed by the Japanese.
Oh, yeah, I feel like I've heard something about that.
Yeah, but there's like not like I feel like it's kind of just a silly one where it's just like, wouldn't that be crazy? But there's literally no evidence. There's no evidence of anyone else like being in the sky, like no Japanese aircrafts in the sky that would do that. No, like there's just not aerial evidence of another plane like targeting them.
Well, if they crashed somewhere on the island, like close to there, no?
Close to where? To
like
Japan? Now I'm just like, what the hell? Maybe. Someone tell me where all these islands are. Do your homework and tell me geography. Another conspiracy theory claims that the pair served as spies for the Roosevelt administration and they were alive and they purposely pretended to crash and then assumed new identities upon returning to the United States, which just is not.
Amelia's a Leo. Like, she would never do that. Like, she wants her fame and her name.
Truly. And those are the main theories of what happened to the plane. But, like, I think I was expecting it to be more like, oh, like, could there be this clue that could be that?
Yeah.
And there's really not. Like, there's no evidence.
It's just like the Malaysia flight.
The only thing that makes sense is that it did crash and they probably died immediately.
Honestly, I hope I hope that they didn't land somewhere and were captured. Like, I sent you an article that, like, there's pictures of a woman that, like, could be her on the Marshall Islands, like, which is by Hawaii, I think. Like, my God, I fear for the geography.
I fear for it. I know. I'm like, if my brother listens to this episode, he's a geography. Like,
we're doing our best here.
We're doing our best, you guys.
Which, like, yeah, maybe, but, like, I just feel like being captured somewhere or being alone on an island is so much worse than just, like, dying on impact.
I completely agree.
And it makes me so sad because, like, she was, like, what more could she have accomplished?
I know. And, like, yeah. so much more.
Ugh.
And she probably, I mean, she was only 40 when she died.
Oh, I forgot to even ask. God, she was so young.
She was 40 years old. And yeah, I mean, people search, obviously, like someone in 2019 was still searching for her. And so I think it's one of those things. And like when it first happened, I had it written down somewhere. I think they spent like even looking for her at the time. I want to say they spent like $13 million or
Oh my
something.
God.
So it wasn't, I mean, like people took it very seriously. People were heartbroken. But then at the same time, I think it inspired a lot of women to like
Yeah.
pursue aviation and try to, do her justice.
Yeah, and women in all fields being like, she's accomplishing this. I can go do it too.
I know.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know. So that's Amelia Earhart, and that's her journey. It comes to an end very, very abruptly, but her death really did. It shocked the world. It was tragic. I can't imagine what she was thinking those last few moments.
Oh, Amelia.
But also, I think as a pilot, you have to really prepare. I think she always
No.
knew the risk. She didn't have any children. She was still married at the time.
Ugh.
And it was a tragedy.
It is a tragedy, man. She just seems so incredible.
I know.
And I feel for her family too.
I do as well.
Well done, Tess.
Hey, thanks.
I know that you're not feeling good.
What a fever
so
dream.
we
I know.
all
I'm like,
appreciate
I
you
just
showing
blacked
up.
out a little bit, but I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Of course, we all appreciate you showing up.
Of course.
Man.
For Amelia.
For Amelia.
For spooky season.
Always. We're going to have a re-release of our Halloween episode next weekend.
Yes. It's very just like the origins.
It's so fun.
It's fun.
Love it or leave it.
You know the drill. You know how we do with those ones.
Exactly. And subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and leave us a little review and a rating.
Yes. We'd love to bring that rating up on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, I know. Some of them have been brought down.
Do 5 stars right now.
Yeah, please do
Click.
5 stars and share on social media. It makes such a difference.
Yes.
And I'm sad that October. I mean, there's lots of emotions.
I know, but November we'll announce soon.
Yeah, we'll announce soon.
But November is such a fun theme month, and that will be kind of our final month before going on break and all of us having some family holiday time.
Yes.
But we're gonna go out with a bang.
We are going out with a bang.
Say.
Yeah, that's wow.
You could say.
Pun intended. We'll just say that. But we love y'all so much.
Love you guys. Thanks for listening, and have a great rest of the week.
Mwah.